Yo, what's going on, fam? So, just got out of court today here in Clayton County, and it was from the traffic stop that was back on, what was it, 5/2/2025, where Officer Krylova, I think she's Russian, she stopped me for an alleged tent violation, running through a red light, and the other one was for a distracted driver, for being on my phone, right? So I decided to basically do a trial, because I knew without a shadow of a doubt that there wasn't going to be any evidence that I actually ran a red light. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later on. So I chose to represent myself during this bench trial. You know how bench trials go. Sometimes it's better off to have a jury trial. But did a bench trial, and basically she brought up the tent violation in the court, and I had to tell her that this basically irrelevant, but at the same time the judge was getting ready to explain to her that that was irrelevant because it's not why I was in court, because on the traffic stop she took it out. And the officer was also saying that she just basically took my word for it, that I didn't show her any credentials that I was a private investigator. So the thing about it is, I had to remind her that during that traffic stop, I took my wallet out to show her my blue card, to show her my credentials, in which I had already told dispatch that I was a private investigator. I was getting ready to show her. She basically didn't want to see it, so her telling the court that I didn't show anything, as if I didn't even try to initiate showing it, is a whole different conversation. So so the thing is, we went on through with the trial. She spoke on the distracted driver portion, and I was telling her that with me being on FaceTime, I was asking her the question, I guess what you call it, a cross-examination. And I was asking her the question to say that, well, if you saw me on FaceTime, did you see another face on the other side of the phone? And she said, yeah. And I was like, was it male or female? And she was like, well, it was a female. And I said, well, the female was you, because I was recording you. So you don't remember what I told you on the traffic stop in regards to me recording you? And I said I was on private property when I, had access to my phone. And you basically changed the story to say that, oh, I saw that on there, it said 43 seconds, whatever, right? So the judge said that she was going to dismiss that. And so now we're looking at me running through the red light. Now, we all know that in court, the state has the burden of proof, and, whether they say if a person is guilty or not. So now the prosecutor, like before the trial, the prosecutor talked to me outside. She tried to get me another deal. Her deal was, we're going to take off the distracted driver, and you can just pay $100 and whatever for the red light, right? And I was like, no, I'm still not going to do that. That was an offer that was made to me when I initially went to court. So I said, no, I'm not doing that. I want a trial, because I know for a fact I didn't go through a red light. I didn't run through a red light. Okay. Now, she went and got the officer. The prosecutor went to go get the officer who stopped me. They went and talked outside for about 20 minutes before they came back in. So they had to rustle up their little game plan, right? So when they came back in, I already know. She didn't say, hey, she never did say, hey, don't worry about it, we're going to dismiss it. So I knew they was going to go ahead and go forward with it. And I knew they didn't have any video proof. I knew they didn't, right? So during her explanation, the officer's explanation of how I ran through the red light, she's saying that she was basically trained to be able to look at different things at different times, then focus on me. And she said that my vehicle was behind the stop bar when the light was already red. And she said, so I asked her, what was that distance? So she said that my entire vehicle was behind the stop bar. And she said the distance was like 80 to 100 feet. Now we're talking about an estimate. So I was like, okay, so with paying attention to the traffic in front of you while changing lanes, and you saw my vehicle behind the stop bar while simultaneously looking into the other lane, and you saw that the light was red going southbound. So you assumed that the light was red based off your training. Then they pull up a video. They pulled up a video, right? There is no rear mounted view on her vehicle. It only showed a front view from her vehicle. Now, let me tell you what the video was. The video showed her going through the yellow light, and it never showed my vehicle. Maybe about 10 to 12 seconds later, it shows my vehicle coming up to the right side of her. Now, might I add, me and her are traveling about the same speed, but I'm not that far behind her, okay? So as I come through the light, she begins to slow down. So then my vehicle on the right basically is coming into view, okay? So I'm basically trying to make a point to say that on the video that you're presenting for evidence does not even show my vehicle coming through the intersection, even when the light was yellow. It does not show my vehicle at all. So she said that my vehicle was black, and I'm like, my vehicle's not black. So maybe you was looking at somebody else's car, but it's not black, right? So then, as my vehicle come into view, that's when she initiated the traffic stop and she got behind me. The prosecutor then says, well, you know, now she influences the judge to say, well, I think the fact that, you know, he was traveling at a higher rate of speed when he passed her, even after they went through the intersection, you know, can kind of be looked at as you ran through the red light because she went through the yellow light. So the light had to have been red in order for you to catch up to her. So I was basically saying, well, I could have been behind her a car length, or I could have been behind her 10 car lengths, but it doesn't necessarily mean I ran the red light. It just means that we were traveling the same distance going through the light before she decided to slow down to where you saw me in the camera view. That's the only time you saw me in the camera view. So the judge basically said that, well, who said that it had to be video proof of you running the red light? Like, understand what dictates as evidence when you go to court. Okay, you cannot just take the officer's word for it to say, well, because of my training, I saw it. So you basically got to believe what I tell you. They literally took her word over mine in court without there even being no video footage of me running through the red light. None. I'm talking about zero. That was her only claim. And I'm like, well, how did you measure that other than your training? Like, you had no measuring device or no measuring tool to be able to say that I was a certain distance behind you. And you can't even prove it in court. So with the prosecutors, with her recommendation to say, yeah, I think he should be guilty, the judge goes and say, yeah, guilty. Guilty. And I'm sitting there like, and I'm basically sitting there like, there is no evidence whatsoever that you provided other than your word to say that I was guilty. So Clayton County basically just got $220 out of me today. The ticket itself was $150, and in the court costs is, you know, you basically almost doubled. It's like $70, $80 something dollars. So I was like, you know what? I had told the judge, I was like, is there a way that I can appeal this? And she was like, yeah, you just have to find out for yourself. Because, you know, of course, they can't really give you that advice on how to appeal them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to definitely look into it to see if there's a way that I can appeal it, or even, you know, it may even cost me more money. But there was literally no evidence that was proven, you know, and this is basically how people get railroaded in lower level court, you know, with just traffic violations. They got to find a way to, you know, get, you know, the officers paid and all type of other stuff. So, I mean, if you look right now, they got to pay for all of this stuff. We talking about Clayton County now. This parking lot is full through the week all the time. You know, and so it's like when I literally tell you there was no evidence that was provided other than her word, for them to say that I was guilty was complete trash. Complete trash. And so now Officer Kirillova walks out of the courtroom with a little smirk on her face, you know, and I can only imagine what type of conversation her and the prosecutor had. And, you know, these prosecutors, they'll sit there and act like, oh, I can make you a deal. You know, we can X this out. Don't worry about this, but I'll let you pay for this. That was basically the same freaking outcome. Oh, hey, judge, you know, I make a recommendation that, you know, we say he's guilty because of, you know, he was speeding. So I was like, so y'all basically trying to say I was speeding now. I mean, it still don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's seeing anything other than her word. There's no witness statement. There's no nothing other than, oh, well, I'm trained to be able to estimate an eye view distance, and me going through the red light and me looking at the southbound lane traffic that the light was red, and simultaneously seeing that your whole vehicle was behind the stop bar. It just does not make sense. Make this make sense. I'm so pissed off about it, man, because, you know, for the average person, you know, $100, $200-$300 can take you a long way. I'm not rich by any means, not even close. But they look at it as, oh, well, if you can't even pay, right, we can just put you on a payment plan. I mean, it's only $150 plus court costs, right? I mean, you know, I mean, it ain't like you going to jail. You know, they're looking at it as, okay, it ain't that big of a deal. But for me, like, that's a loss. I was wrote 3 tickets. She took one out. She couldn't even prove the fact that I was on FaceTime. So if you can't even prove that I was on FaceTime and that I actually have a recording of you basically saying, hey, you're on FaceTime, and I'm like, no, I'm not, and I got it in my phone. If you can't prove that, and you can't prove me running through the red light, but they said I was guilty on it with no proof. Like, you don't even see me in the video whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, for all they know, she just could have stopped me and said, oh, well, let me just write him a ticket for something. But because you're a sworn officer, hey, we got you. We just gonna take your word for it. But I want y'all to look up what constitutes evidence in a courtroom. Okay, there was nothing tangible. There were no witness statements. Okay, it wasn't a guilty plea. You know what I'm saying? So where in the video can you show me where I ran a red light? Where? Oh, well, we just gonna take her word for it because of her training. Well, when I tell y'all I'm so pissed right now, I'm like super pissed off. Super pissed off. They out here towing people like crazy, man, and making more money. That's the spotter right there. If you look on the back of that vehicle right there, they got the tag readers. That's what the repo men basically use to go pick up people's vehicles. So they'll have a spotter. They'll come spot it. And then the tow truck come out, verify it, you know, by the VIN, and boom. I don't know, maybe they owed some money on it, but I mean, we ain't in no handicap spots or whatever, so look at that. This dude feel good about himself. Yeah, so that's it, man. I ain't gonna prolong y'all, but that's basically it. Like, there was no evidence that was proven. And the judge told me, like, basically, like, well, who told you that we had to have video footage? Like, are you serious? Like, okay. But yeah, we're gonna look into it, man, and we're gonna see if we can appeal this thing, because it's just, I mean, at this point, this stuff is just blatant, just right in front of your face. Like, we don't give a damn what you say or how much, you know, sense it does not make. And we still gonna get in your pockets. We still gonna get in your pockets. And I tell people every day, man, like, in some situations, you cannot win. You can't win. It's all about money at the end of the day. It's all about money. So I guess that whole the government of the state having the burden of proof goes straight down the drain. So now this lady walks out with just a smirk on her face, like, you know, like, oh yeah, I just basically won. You know what I'm saying? So this is why we also tell people to keep filming the police. This is, and I'm in a newer vehicle now. I still got my other vehicle, but I would employ everybody to go and get a dash camera for your vehicle, front mounted and rear. Go get that. It'll be a good investment. It's gonna save you some money at the end of the day. But I'm out. Until next time, I see her in the streets again. I don't know. I might have some words for her, but I might not. But that's Clayton County for you.